All right, welcome to your very first lesson on NGOs Careers Pro. And listen, I'm excited for what's ahead for you. I'm excited because your career is going to be different moving forward. The reason for me is I get to give back, and working within the NGO sector, I've really helped a lot of people. One of my most recent projects involved working with university students, over 5,000 of them, and the shared joy that these young people have once they've gone through my seminars or my trainings, or I've just shared some resources with them, I cannot explain, and that lights me up. That is the kind of fulfillment that I get by helping people transform their lives and transforming their businesses. And I hope your desire to come into this industry is because you want to transform people. Yes, the money is good because we get financially rewarded well, but the real reason why we do what we do is because we want to make a difference in the lives of others. And I'm really excited to be empowering you in my own weak way to do that. So, without further ado, I want to get into the lesson and the reason why you're here. I've actually, if you look here, I've outlined, let me see if you can get this. I've outlined the 7 steps right here. I'm going to introduce them to you quickly, and then I'll switch over to my computer where I have a PowerPoint presentation developed, and we'll walk through the PowerPoint and you get to understand some of the concepts that I'm talking about and why I have these 7 steps as they are. All right, so once I introduce the topics, we'll go over to the computer, and then we'll come back to conclude on the video here again. All right, so what are the 7 steps? 7 steps to getting your next NGO job or consultancy. The very first step is to identify your niche, identify your target. All right? Identify a niche and identify your target. This is very important because you do not want to be the jack of all trades, the master of none. And we'll talk about that more in the presentation. The next step is to understand, seek out what the challenges are that your ideal client, your ideal organization has that you can help solve. All right? Many of us think that we go to job to get paid. No, we go to a job, whether you're a consultant, and from time to time, maybe because of my lengthy experience in consultancy, I will be speaking to you as a consultant. But it really doesn't matter whether you take a full-time job or you sign a 30-day consulting contract. What matters is that you're providing service and you're getting paid. All right, so when I refer to you as a consultant, don't take offense to it. It's still the same thing, and you're still going to be making a difference. All right, but as consultants, as service providers, as employees, you need to understand that you're there to make a difference, and you're there to make an impact. And the best impact you can make for any organization is to help them solve a problem. So what is the problem that you can help your client, your prospective client solve? Well, you need to know what the problem is and how they've come to experience that problem. The third step is to demonstrate your expertise. You've identified a niche and your target. So let's say in my case, when I started as a business development expert, as a business advisor. And so I targeted NGOs that worked with local businesses because I knew I wanted to support local businesses, but local businesses could not afford to pay me, and I realized that NGOs were paying experts to help local businesses. And so I targeted the NGOs that were serving local businesses. And within those NGOs, I targeted key individuals that were responsible for those projects. And then you move on to the challenge, uncovering the most pressing challenge. You need to engage the people, and we teach that in further detail, but you need to reach out to these targets and inquire of them, what is your most pressing challenge? Okay, what is that thing? Because everybody has something that keeps them up at night, something that they're not getting done and they really want to get it done. It might be that they've not done a particular set of training simply because they require a trainer who understands the local language. It might be that they've not done a particular activity because they couldn't find the subject matter expert for that activity. It could be any number of things, all right? But your job is to find out what the most pressing challenge is that they're faced with, all right, in connection to your niche. And there are countless. There are about 7 different ways to identify those, you know, from directly reaching out to them or finding somebody else who works in the organization, by scanning the newspapers, by scanning their websites. There are so many things you could do to identify the challenges they face. And those are things that we teach as well. Once you've identified the challenges they face, you then want to establish your expertise. You want to position yourself. You want to demonstrate that you are an expert that can help them solve that problem. So you want to demonstrate your expertise in that area. Okay? Now, this is assuming that indeed you are an expert in that area. You want to definitely demonstrate your expertise in the area. All right? And you could do that by publishing articles. You could do that by recording short video lessons. You could do that by writing books. You could do that by conducting interviews. Again, we teach you so many different ways to do that later on, but you get the idea. There are so many ways you could demonstrate your expertise. Once you've demonstrated your expertise, you want to reach out again to show to people that, hey, I am the expert. So I've published a material. Maybe that material is an article, or I've recorded a video that shows that I'm an expert in this area. I want to make sure that the right people see those materials, the right people watches the video, or the right people reads the article to know that, so that they know that I'm an expert and I can help them solve their problem. So I reach out to those people and present myself as the expert using the resources that I've developed in demonstrating my expertise. Once that is done, and once you do it the right way, what happens is the potential client or employer will ask you to submit your resume or CV. So it's not about you going to just find a bunch of empty positions and apply. Yes, you can do that, and you should do that as well when you see vacancies. But long before you even do that, if you apply these steps, if you saw a vacancy, you employ these steps quickly, you would now stand out from all the other applicants, okay? But if there is no vacancy, there is no job advertised already, when you do this, that potential employer or client is going to ask you to submit your CV or your resume, and that's when you go to the next step. And the next step is to position your resume. You sell yourself on your CV. All right, don't just go and put a bunch of experiences. No. You want to craft your CV and all your resume in a way that does a sales job for you. All right. Now, many of these international NGOs have their own resume or CV templates. So you want to make sure to confirm whether or not the organization that you want to join has a template. If they do, you want to use that template to submit your application. But besides that, what exactly do you place on that template? You want to use there are certain keywords that you must use to showcase yourself and highlight your ability to solve the problem. All right. So you want to submit on demand. You don't want to just be submitting CVs, but submit your CVs when they are asked for. All right, because that causes you to stand out from everybody else who's just looking for a job. Step number 6 is one of the most beautiful steps in the process. This is where you get to interview your employer. I know many times people are excited or they're nervous about going for a job interview. No, I cannot remember the last time I was interviewed, because it's usually the other way around. Yes, I will be scheduled for an interview, but when I get there, I get to do the interview because of the way I spin the situation around. And when you're an expert, you can do that. When you know you're an expert, you have the ability to do that. And we show you certain things. There are certain things you need to do. For example, one of the things that I do when I go for every interview is to carry a case study, a hypothetical case study, again, that shows them that I've done my work in understanding their problem and I present possible solutions. So the conversation goes from asking me questions about myself and my strengths and my weaknesses, and the conversation goes to that document that I brought to the table. And we'll talk more about that in subsequent training. All right? And so once you've interviewed the employer, once you've done a great job at that interview, you can now move on to signing the contract, because you know if it all goes well, you're going to be getting that job at that consultancy. If you follow the steps as we've shown them, you will definitely be getting that consultancy guarantee. All right? There is no question about it. You will definitely get that job because you have demonstrated that you're an expert, because you are an expert. And so step number 7 now is to make your mark. All right? So the moment you sign that contract, that employment contract, that consultancy contract, what do you do in the next 7 days? Because the steps you take in the next 5 working days will make the huge difference. The first week, it'll make a great difference and set you up for long-term success. So step number 7 is to make your mark, and you want to make your mark with a bang. All right. So the 7 steps, again, quickly, we say identify your target or your niche, uncover the most pressing challenge, demonstrate expertise. That's number 3. Number 4, you want to reach out. Number 5, you want to submit on demand. Number 6, interview your employer. And number 7, make your mark on the gig. You want to make your mark with a bang. Those are the 7 steps, and that's the introductory part to the 7 steps. I've already gone into a little more detail on each one of them. All right. So what we're going to do is to move to the screen, and I'm going to show you a few things as it relates to each of these steps. We'll go to the PowerPoint presentation. It might be an overview or a repeat of some of the things I've already said because it's already in my head. But I want you to still pay attention to what you're going to learn from the PowerPoint presentation as we move on to the screen. And then we'll come back to discuss a few things. Talk to you soon.